signed with AEW, you know, I said this to you yesterday. A lot of people had thought that you were always going to be with WWE. That was going to be the kind of end place for you, and you've kind of taken a bet on yourself to go somewhere else, put yourself out there again in a fresh environment. When you signed at AEW, from then to now, how is it compared to what your expectations were going to be of it in terms of the growth of it, the week to week, you know, broadcasting on TV? Is it the way you envisioned it? Is it different?
Well, I never really thought I was going to leave WWE, to be honest with you. I figured my stage of the game, my daughters hate to hear me say this, I'm on the back nine in life, I get it. You guys can look at me and say, I'm 68 years old. Feel great, full of piss and vinegar. But I am, but the truth is...
And blue chew.
Occasional blue chew. But I'm living every day, like I said earlier, one day at a time here. But I didn't know what to expect, Kenny. I thought, you know, I knew a lot of the guys that they were hiring. They told me who I was going to work with. And we were going to start out working with Alex Marvez, who's a great sports broadcaster in America, does NFL football on audio, radio stuff. And then Excalibur, I'd never watched a PWG show. Now, does that mean I don't like wrestling? No. It's streaming. That's probably more than a lot of your guys' bailiwick than mine. I'm kind of getting there now on the streaming stuff. But he wasn't a household word to me, Excalibur. I didn't know what his real name was even. I had no idea. He could have been sitting here right now and I would have known him. So a lot of things are new. So I just kind of eased into it, not much trepidation, because I've always believed with my egocentric mindset, if you put it on a monitor, I can call it. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. It may be a different opinion than you all may have in my work from time to time, but I truly believe that I have enough confidence in my ability that if you put it on a monitor, a TV monitor, and I have the headset on, I can tell you the story that needs to be told. That's what I think. That's my deal, right? But you got to have that, or you get your balls busted so many times along the way that you lose confidence in your work, and that's the worst thing a talent can do, is think you've lost it. My jokes aren't funny, my stories aren't resonating, you know, I'm missing names, doing this. Stuff I do now sometimes. But I didn't know what to expect, but I have been pleasantly surprised. We have a very unique owner. He's 37, 38 years old. You know, his family owns an NFL franchise. I think they're going to play 2 games next year. 2 of their home games that would have played in Jacksonville, the Jaguars, are going to be played in London. That's what I hear. So, and he owns the Fulham Football Club here. So they're very diversified, and among those things I mentioned. So I knew they had the resources. Somebody said, what are you going to do when McMahon comes in and buys all your talent? Well, you know, WWE's in some financial issues right now with their stock. They lost 25% of their total company value in one day. McMahon lost $300 million. Stock bottom dropped out. And
the company lost more than $1 billion. He lost over $300 million in personal income in 20 minutes.
Yeah, that would have been a little unnerving. So I just kind of walked in there thinking, well, if they're going to do pro wrestling and they want me to be a broadcaster, I can do that job. But I'm kind of interested to see what all the other stuff is going to happen around us. And then I saw some of the people that Tony Khan was hiring. He hired Keith Mitchell, who was the only executive producer that WCW ever had. He's a guy that I helped bring in from, he worked for the WCCW, he worked for the Von Erichs at a TV station in Dallas, Channel 39. And he came in as our head of production and executive producer at WCW on the startup. And then they hired him, and he also worked at TNA for a long time. So he's really talented at what he does. So he coordinates production. So well, we're in good hands there, and I think we are. Tim Walbert is our producer, and Timmy Walbert's from Baltimore, and he did WWE TV forever. So he's been to the big dance. He's done WrestleMania, many of them. So he's going to be all right. Then they get Jericho signed, and Jericho and I have the same agent. So I kind of knew that deal was coming down, but not finalized. Moxie comes in, you know, and I don't know who Darby Allin is. I don't know who Jungle Boy Jack Perry is. I didn't know who Sammy Guevara was. I never heard of Luchasaurus because they worked in a different universe than I was in. They were in that little independent off TV, one streaming guy. So I really didn't know what to expect, other than I knew I could do my job, or I thought I could, and I still think that. But it's a less political, more casual environment. We don't have any writers. And by eliminating all the writers, it puts the onus on the creative, on the talent. It does not make sense. It's like having a great songwriter, singer-songwriter, but you don't have to write any songs anymore. But why would you want that? Why would you want to write and sing your own music if you're good at it, instead of turning off that part of your brain? So Jericho does his own creative. Cody does his own creative. Young Bucks do their own creative. Now there's a vetting process. Here's what we don't want to do that. We don't want to use any tables here. We don't want to use any ladders here, whatever the case may be. There's checks and balances. But essentially, the talent come up with their own stuff. Last week on TV, the kid Santana from Santana and Ortiz, he lost his father not too long ago. His father was a blind in one eye, or lost most of his vision. And then, of course, they're doing now an angle about the eye deal, right? So we'll tell that backstory going forward in the next few weeks. But this kid has to do a hot promo on television. He had never done one, ever. We had no writers for him. Here's your bullet points. These are the things you want to try to work in your promo. Bing, bing, bing. Now put it in your own terms, your own pacing, your own time, and go deliver that son of a bitch. Do a good job. And just be yourself. And he knocked it out of the park. First promo. So that happens. Yeah, he deserves it. That happens when you can create your own content. Kenny here creates his own content for his podcast or YouTube or whatever, through his entrepreneurial efforts with guys like us and others that have come over before and after. And always has a hell of a show. So that's what we're all in the content creating business. And some of you may be here that are in the same thing. You create content in different levels, or you want to be able to create content and monetize it. So I like the fact we don't have any writers. I was worried about that being a little off the rail, but I found out that these decision makers then spend more time with the talent than they do with like in WWE, they may spend more time with the writers at times. And I don't know that's a wise decision. Nothing should come between decision makers and upper management and their talent. The most important aspect that any team like WWE or AEW or Manchester United has is their players. If they don't have great players, you don't give a shit about seeing them. You're not going to see a Manchester United game, or if you're or another team. I'm just using that because I'm ignorant of this game, and we're in Manchester. So the thought being that you're not going to be watching play religiously if they're losing their ass every week. They got no stars, no wins, no attendance. Real simple. That's how it is. And it's getting worse. The old guards at my age and older who love the team no matter what. Boola, here we go. You guys aren't going through that. You got to give me some. You got to win. You got to win, or we ain't following you. We have great effort and win a fight or two every now and then. So I watch European football at home. I love the guys, and those guys. They sell better than some of the boys in wrestling. and it's like the old block charge thing, right? You know, they don't even make contact, man. They're flailing away, and miraculously, like an inexperienced wrestler, they recover just like that. Right back up they go. So, but I didn't know what to expect. This is the bottom line, and it's been a pleasant surprise for me. We know we have a lot of work to do, and the kids, 22, 23, 24 years old. Think about that. Never been on national TV before. Now they're on global television. They are in a different world, boy, than they've ever been in. So instead of making $25 or $50 a night, they're able to pay their bills and make a living wrestling. So it's a whole different game for them, and they're all learning as they go along. And I think we've got some good talent. Conrad talking about the Lucha Brothers. They're fucking phenomenal. Oh, yes. Ray Phoenix is amazing. And Conrad's the nail on the head. Ray Phoenix and
Nick
Jackson, maybe two of the most dynamic performers in all the business. And they're in tags. So inevitably somebody's going to suggest we should break those teams up and get two great single stars out of it. Whether that happens or not, or I'm advocating, I'm not saying that either, but we got some talent there. I think Darby Allin is the young Jeff Hardy. He's a daredevil. He's got that lean body. He sells good. He's fearless. He really is fearless. And he shoots his videos. He shot a video himself and sent it in that we aired this week. That's being an entrepreneur and being a person that's trying to, you're an independent salesperson. Some of you guys, I'm sure, are in here that get some kind of commission for what you produce. And this kid is an independent contractor. He's his own promoter in essence. So he goes back to Seattle, and in between drinking a lot of coffee in Seattle, which he's famous for, he is doing videos to get himself over. Cheers to him, man. Good job. So that's kind of where we are. It's energetic, and our owner, as I said, Tony Khan. I met Tony Khan about 3 years ago, I think it is now, with Alex Marvez, is one of his best friends, in L.A., in Long Beach, California, on the weekend we did 2 New Japan shows, Saturday and Sunday. And they were there. Tony flew from Jacksonville, Florida, across the country to go watch wrestling. No plans on getting into having AEW. It was not even a thought. He's a fan. So he flies all the way across America, hooks up with his buddy. They get seats, good seats, front row. I didn't know who he was. I knew Alex's name because I'm a football guy. So they came to our hotel, and I met Tony, and I reacquainted myself with Alex. And lo and behold, 3 years ago, we talked about what we're doing right now. I couldn't do it because I was working for WWE, but I give you some names of some people that I would hire if I was in this position. And they've actually, some of them been hired. Our top guy that does books all our buildings, Rafael Morphy, is a 13-year veteran of WWE, their top market rep. Like a lot of guys, he got passed over for the job to run a department. That happened a couple of times. He said, fuck it. I'm stuck in this role. I can't advance. And man, when you guys get to a job that you have no upward mobility, it's challenging to stay hooked. It really is. And you got to fix that. So I knew that Rafael would do a good job. He books all the arenas. We plan on coming to the UK. I don't know the dates or the towns, but we talked about that. We talked about that on Wednesday. I said I'm going to the UK and I should do these Q&As. I'm sure some folks might be curious or ask. So I said, so I'm being pretty active here. But we want to come. It's just a matter of getting the routing done and how we address our TV situation. Do we do TV here? Do we do a pay-per-view here? What do we do here? So there's a lot of good answers to that question. I just don't know them specifically. But I know that there's a very high priority for us internally to be a part of this marketplace.